I'd love to start with what called you into teaching adults to swim.
Sure. So, I'm sorry, my brain's just going over to the idea of noticing too how quickly the shift happens. Um, so, just one more appreciation for that. There's such a concern that it takes a long time to make a shift, but it can be breath. So, what called me into teaching adults? I've been in the water, working in the water since I was about 13. And probably my call to the water was earlier than that. But that's when I started volunteering at the pool in the summers. Got me out of summer camp. But my first adult, I was assigned to teach the adults and the parent child classes because you didn't have to be certified to teach those classes, which I find interesting given there's those two groups of people actually require quite a bit of specialization to know how to help those groups of people. But it did. So there was something in me that I was seen as a person to be able to connect with those groups, that I took a little more time with them. So that first adult that I had, she was, and I'll put it in air quotes, an old lady. I was like 14, so I don't know, maybe she was 50. But she didn't learn to swim because she grew up in a family that was told it was something that girls couldn't do because it was an athletic thing. And she had to wait until her parents had passed and she was a widow for her to be able to say, but hang on, I see girls and women doing it. Maybe I could do it too. Uh, but she was terrified. And I probably did a very okay job with her because, of course, I didn't really know what I was doing, except for I did listen to her. And I'm sure that made some sort of impact. But she certainly made an impact on me. And through my journey of teaching people to swim, it was the adults who impacted me because I could teach them the physical skills, but I could see, and by my conversations with them, I knew it wasn't landing. They could do the function, but they didn't feel like a swimmer. So this is what I found very interesting and wanted to take time and did take time to learn a new way to work with them. So they not only could look like a swimmer, they could feel like a swimmer. And so that's really why I've been in that work and continue to be in that work.
And as you began working with adults, where did you start noticing fear? And where did you start witnessing breakthrough?
Well, I would notice fear, again, going back to these stories of somebody being able to swim across the pool, and I'd say, how was it? And they'd have a deer in the headlights look on their face that says, I have no idea. And so that is where I started identifying, oh, that is about fear. It's not about form or function. They are working to get to the other side. If I can only get to, quote, safety at the other side, that means getting to the wall, getting out, then I won't be in danger. But it left this big hanging question of what happens in the middle. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the second part of your question. Perhaps it was about how we started overcoming it.
Yeah, just so where you started noticing fear, where you started noticing breakthroughs. I think one of the things people underestimate is how vulnerable it is to learn something new as an adult. So I'm also curious, what feels misunderstood about how adults learn embodied skills like swimming?
Yeah. So the first place, so we started rolling back. So it's like you can see fear in the big places, like jumping into the deep end. That's kind of obvious. But so then we start rolling back the process to see, well, when did the fear start? Didn't just start with jumping in. Okay. It started with going to the deep end. It started with floating, performance anxiety. Started with, we keep rolling back. It starts with walking out on a pool deck and smelling the smells of the pool that take us back to maybe some negative memories, right? So we kept rolling back with folks in an inquiry, right? In conversations with folks to be able to kind of see, where does it start? It starts before they even get there. And so that's the place where we really then started seeing breakthroughs, is when we allow people enough space to come back and back and back till they find the place. Where do we go from being calm to not calm? And we take care of ourselves in that place. And I think this is what goes universally for learning anything. Learning the harmonica. There's not a lot of danger to learning the harmonica, but my brain, like, whoa, kind of wants to freak out about it. So giving myself, like we did in the beginning of this episode, just space to slow it down, to give myself a little love, take care of that tender part that thinks I should already know how to play the harmonica before I pick it up even. And really take care there. This is where then we can start making forward steps, because we've really started at our true place, and we're starting with taking care of our emotional self just as much or more than the physical step of learning to swim or harmonica or fill in the blank with whatever you might be learning.